Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn our countries in another episode of the Cartography series. Today we are going to be learning about Europe. Here's a map of all the countries that we will be learning about today. Alright, let's learn about the countries of Europe. Keep in mind that this list is ordered from the largest population to the smallest population size. Also, there will be an EU in parentheses next to the country's name if that country is a member of the European Union. Alright, let's dive in. First up is Russia. Russia is the largest country in the world landmass-wise. It is also the largest country in Europe population-wise. Its capital is Moscow, which coincidentally is the largest capital city in Europe. Its population is 145.93 million people. Next up is Germany. As you can see, it is a member of the European Union because the EU is in parentheses next to its name. Its capital is Berlin, and its population is 83.78 million people. Next up is the United Kingdom. It was in the European Union, but left recently. Its capital is London, and its population is 67.88 million people. Next up is France. Its capital is Paris, and its population is 65.27 million people. Next up is Italy. Its capital is Rome, and its population is 68.46 million people. Next up is Spain. Its capital is Madrid, and its population is 46.75 million people. Next up is Ukraine. Its capital is Kiev, and its population is 43.73 million people. Next up is Poland. Its capital is Warsaw, and its population is 37.84 million people. Next up is Romania. Its capital is Bucharest, and its population is 19.23 million people. Next up is the Netherlands. Its capital is Amsterdam, and its population is 17.23 million people. Fun fact, the Netherlands has more bicycles than people. Next up is Belgium. Its capital is Brussels, and its population is 11.58 million people. Next up is the Czech Republic. Its capital is Prague, and its population is 10.7 million people. Next up is Greece. Its capital is Athens, and its population is 10.42 million people. Next up is Portugal. Its capital is Lisbon, and its population is 10.19 million people. Next up is Sweden. Its capital is Stockholm, and its population is 10.09 million people. Hungary has a capital of Budapest, and its population is 9.66 million people. Next up is Belarus. Its capital is Minsk, and its population is 9.44 million people. Next up is Austria. Its capital is Vienna, and its population is 9.006 million people. Next up is Serbia. Its capital is Belgrade, and its population is 8.37 million people. Next up is Switzerland. Its capital is Bern, and its population is 8.65 million people. Next up is Bulgaria. Its capital is Sofia, and its population is 6.94 million people. Fun fact, Bulgaria hasn't changed its name since 681 AD, making it have the oldest name in Europe. Next up is Denmark. Its capital is Copenhagen, and its population is 5.79 million people. Fun fact, Denmark bans 5 baby names. Next up is Finland. Its capital is Helsinki, and its population is 5.54 million people. Next up is Slovakia. Its capital is Bratislava, and its population is 5.45 million people. Next up is Norway. Its capital is Oslo, and its population is 5.42 million people. Fun fact: Norwegians spend 126 days of darkness with no sunset due to their position on the northern hemisphere. Next up is Ireland. Its capital is Dublin, and its population is 4.93 million people. Next up is Croatia. Its capital is Zagreb, and its population is 4.1 million people. Next up is Moldova. Its capital is Chisinau, and its population is 4.03 million people. Next up is Bosnia and Herzegovina. Its capital is Sarajevo, and its population is 3.28 million people. Fun fact: Bosnia and Herzegovina has the last European rainforest within its borders. Next up is Albania. Its capital is Tirana, and its population is 2.87 million people. Next up is Lithuania. Its capital is Vilnius, and its population is 2.72 million people. Next up is North Macedonia. Its capital is Skopje, and its population is 2.083 million people. Next up is Slovenia. Its capital is Ljubljana, and its population is 2.078 million people. Next up is Latvia. Its capital is Riga, and its population is 1.88 million people. Next up is Estonia. Its capital is Tallinn, and its population is 1.32 million people. Next up is Montenegro. Its capital is Podgorica, and its population is 628,066 people. Next up is Luxembourg. Its capital is Luxembourg City, and its population is 625,978 people. Fun fact: Luxembourg boasts the largest GDP per capita at $119,719. That's 2 times the United States. Next is Malta. Its capital is Valletta, and its population is 441,543 people. Next up is Iceland. Its capital is Reykjavik, and its population is 341,243 people. Sorry. Next up is Andorra. Its capital is Andorra la Vella, and its population is 77,256 people. Next up is Monaco. Its capital is Monte Carlo, and its population is 39,242 people. Next up is Liechtenstein, and its capital is Vaduz, and its population is 38,184 people. Next up is San Marino City. Its capital is San Marino, and its population is 33,931 people. Next up is Holy See, aka the Vatican. It doesn't have a capital because it is a very small city-state. Its population is just 801 people. Holy See means the jurisdiction of the Pope. Also, the Vatican is the smallest country in the world and boasts the largest church in Europe, St. Peter's Basilica. Now it's time for the knowledge quiz. What is the largest country in Europe? Russia. What country has the most GDP per capita in Europe? Luxembourg. What country has the last European rainforest? Bosnia and Herzegovina. What country has this flag? Russia. What country has this flag? Switzerland. That concludes our knowledge check. Thanks for watching. I am sorry for butchering the names of the countries and their capitals. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more episodes of the Cartography series.